Hi everybody, Brittany here. I just finished my third book of the year. None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. This book had been on my virtual TBR for a very long time, and then I finally got it, I think this past November. I had been waiting to read it for a while. A very close friend of mine, Taylor Hernandez, she read it just shortly ago, I think maybe about a week or two ago at this point, and she gave it a rave review. I've also seen other people really hyped up about this book, so I was really looking forward to it. I would give it 4 out of 5, 4.5 out of 5. I really did enjoy this book. Very rarely do I give books a 5, unless it's a historical fiction, because they just happen to hit me right in the feels. This is not a historical fiction. It's set in modern time. It actually had a little bit of a COVID callback towards the end. Most of the story takes place in 2019, and I feel like that's going to be more of a trend where we have authors and writers writing about things that take place kind of during the pandemic or have a pandemic callback to it. So most of the book took place in 2019, but there was part of it towards the end where, jumping forward in time, she is in 2020 and then eventually in 2022, and she just kind of mentioned the pandemic and how it affected the character and kind of changed the timeline for a couple of things. So basically, this book is about two different women who share a birthday. They both turned 45 on the same day, so they were born in the same hospital, kind of like a weird coincidence. The one character, she is a little bit of a wallflower, I guess you would call her, Josie, and she kind of, she's not fashionable, she got married really, really young, and just kind of like is living in her tiny little bubble. And then there's the second character, Alex. She is a podcaster. She is a little bit of like a mini celeb, and she's very fashionable, very chic. The story takes place in London or somewhere in the UK. Anyway, they end up meeting on their 45th birthday. They end up going to the same pub or microbrewery or whichever it was, and they end up meeting in the bathroom and saying, "Oh my god, we have the same birthday, that's so crazy." Anyway, so Josie gets the idea that she wants to be on Alex's podcast, which is about like strong independent women who do amazing things. Josie isn't necessarily that, but she's on the cusp of this big transformation. Anyway, they start working on the podcast and chaos ensues, for lack of a better term. There was a lot of twists and turns. The best thing I can compare this book to is Verity. And the reason I'm comparing it to that is kind of for two different reasons. So it's similar to Verity in the fact that you have two different versions of the same story. So if you read Verity, it's about a girl who is picking up writing a series for an author that is now in a coma. So you have the version of events that the husband is telling, and then you have the version of events that the author who is currently in a coma tells through a file on her computer. So you're getting two versions of the same exact story, two different points of view on different events that happened within the couple's life and things like that. So I think it was very similar like that because you have Josie's version of events and then you have her family, such as her husband and her kids' point of view on the same events. And to say the least, they differ. I also think it's similar to Verity in the fact that at the end, you don't know which one's true, which that's the only thing that I'm going to knock this book for because it was very well written. I enjoyed it so much, but I hate when I don't know the real ending. And I'll say the same thing about Verity. I loved Verity. I thought it was very, very good, but it still drives me nuts to this day that I don't know which story, which version of events is the real truth. And I know a lot of people enjoy that. It's just not my jam. But a lot of people I know like this suspense and kind of thinking about the book afterwards and not really knowing the truth. I know Verity did release extra chapters towards the end or like later on down the road. And apparently those chapters kind of help to shed light on things, but I don't know. Anyway, so that's the two similarities that I drew. It's not kind of as creepy as Verity, though. It has some kind of creepy parts, and it's kind of eerie, I would say, but the setting is not creepy at all, whereas Verity's setting and everything was very creepy and very kind of off-putting, but in like a way you do kind of want to read it. So anyway, yeah, 4 out of 5. I loved this book. I would definitely recommend it if you're into mysteries, thrillers, kind of whodunit sort of things. You're gonna enjoy this book. It's just well written. It's also, again, it takes place in London or somewhere in the UK. So if you're into kind of international, this is the book for you. 4 out of 5, 4.5 out of 5. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Would not, cannot stop recommending it. So what's up next? Our next book is A Perfect Vintage. Again, I don't know anything about this book. It was kind of recommended to me through Betches, the Instagram account, BETCHES. They had recommended, if you like this, you would like this kind of book, and if you're into this, you would enjoy this book. This was one of the ones that was I was geared towards me, so to speak, and I have no idea what it's about. I really don't. Because again, I don't like to read the back because it kind of skews my interpretation of the book and what I focus on and the things that I kind of get attached to. So I don't know what it's about, but I'm excited to read it. It looks pretty good. I've heard, again, really good things about it, so we'll see how that goes. Okay? If you guys have any recommendations on books that I should pick up, let me know. I still do have a pretty good TBR stack that I have to work my way through, but eventually I'll be picking up new books for the rest of this year. Okay, see you guys later.